Hi guys, tonight we are going to work on some linear modeling. The I cans I want you to be thinking about. I can write the equation of a function using the context given in a word problem, and I can interpret the parameters of the linear function in terms of its context. So can I take these word mush and turn them into something I can create a linear function, meaning having a slope and a y-intercept, a starting point or a slope and any point. So we're going to be driving. Here we go. Constant speed of 58 miles per hour. And then we start 45 miles away. Okay, and this one says use slope-intercept form. So I will show you that. And the first thing you want to talk about, at the time that I'm starting this, I'm 45 miles away, you can write the point 0, 45. And if it's telling me that I'm going miles per hour, then I can say that that is going to be my 58. So sorry, 58. So we're going to write this in distance in terms of the hours. This is something that they are really excited about, this being the new Regents Common Core, that they want you to write in terms of their variables. So knowing that I have slope-intercept form, we would write that as y equals mx plus b. I'm going to fill in my y-intercept is 45, and my slope is 58. Instead of using the x and the y, I want to use the h for how many hours and the d for my total distance. It does not have to be written in slope-intercept form. You could also use point slope. So I will show you that. So you would do, and that's the y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And I'm going to start, my point is 0. Oopsies. The 0 goes with the x, the 45 goes over here. The 58 is still the slope. And remember to use d. And, oh, excuse me, again, use h here. And the big D over there. And you can see that that will end up looking exactly the same. All right, part B. The destination is 270 miles away from New York City, algebraically determined to the nearest tenth of an hour how long it will take to reach his destination. So we're going to write up the distance, right? The units, 270. So you're going to plug that in for D. So my distance is now 270 equals 58h plus 45. First, subtract the 45. And I'm going to end up with 225. Then you're going to go ahead and divide by the 58. And I'm going to end up with 3.87. You can write a lot of the decimal, and then it said round to the nearest tenth would be 3.9 is the amount of hours. So now looking at example 2, now we're working on a cell phone. We have a fixed cost and then a charge for each call that she makes. It's telling you in last month's bill she was charged $12.80 for making 52 calls. So then I go down here and I create the linear model for this amount where P in per month given the number of phone calls. So this, if you need to think about it, this is my independent, this is my dependent, okay? The amount of calls she makes affects the price that she pays. So you have two different ways to do this, and I'm going to show you both, and we'll look through. So now first here it says that if she made, so we're going to be having C, comma, P. That's going to be our points here. If she made 52 calls, then she was charged $12.80. Okay, they also tell you that there's a fixed rate and that it's 15 cents per call. That fixed rate, or excuse me, that 15 cents per call is what you're going to use as your slope. Okay, because that's saying what's happening each time. So if I go to set up slope intercept, I'd have P equals 0.15C plus B. Now I can solve for B, and I will get 1280, plug that in for my P, 0.15, and my C is 52, and that would allow me to solve for B. So the first thing I would do is multiply these two together, and I will get 7.8 plus B equals the 12.8. Subtract the 7.8, and you will find out that B is, what did we just get? 5. So to write that equation, I could write P equals 0.15C plus 5. That 5 being the fixed cost that I have to pay to even start the whole game. Now, the math wasn't horrible, but there is another way we could also do it. You could leave it in the form. If I did point slope here, that I would have P, right? And I guess we would say a little P sub 1 there. And then I would have M, and then C minus C sub 1. And if it's easier to see it this way with the M, the X, and the X1. So calls 52. Slope is the 0.15. And then I would have Y minus the 1280. If it does not specify which form it must be in, that is completely fine. It is completely equivalent to my answer over here, okay? So either one that you're more comfortable works for us, as long as it does not say. Like in the one before, it did say use a specific form. This one, it's just happy that you made a problem. So now I look at B. How much is this fixed cost? In other words, how much would you have to pay if you made 0 calls? Well, we've done that work already when we found our B value. So, ways to look at it. Once we'd solved this for P right here, you knew that was your y-intercept, because if I plugged in 0, okay, in for my amount of calls, I would come out with the 5, okay? Another way you could do it, over here, now I've put the P's back in there, P minus 12.8 equals 0.15 C minus 52. So if you wanted to leave it in this form, you would again just say, okay, the C right here is 0. You would multiply the 0.15 times the negative 52, and then add over the 12.8, and you would still come out with that value of 5. For the third one, they've done us a nice favor, and they've written the equations for us. So you can look through, we're talking about widgets, life is totally exciting. We've got a function in terms of cost, well, function of cost in terms of widgets, okay, and then we have revenue gained, dealing with based on the widgets. So we're going to graph those, and they're very specific, they being the regions, of what domain they'd like you to use. So I'm going to pull up my calculator here so I can see them function. They want you to graph both of them. So I'm going to get a new document, number 1. I don't really want to save anything, and I'm going to need a graph. So then I'm going to type in the 0.18. I'm going to use X because that's what the graphing calculator understands, plus the 20.64. I'm going to hit enter, and look, there's nothing there. Shocking. So you're going to go up, and you're going to change this one right here, your X max, to 500. I'm going to change, and I can just tab around. I'm going to make the X min 0. Okay. You're also going to then, you can go to the menu. Once you've set the domain, you're going to go to Zoom Fit. If it'll let me go. Come here, mouse. And you can see from the 0 to 500, that was what you were going to create. Okay. And then I'm going to hit Tab. And that's going to bring the second one up that will have the 0.26x. And hit enter. You can see both of them right there. So again, I have a pretty graph right there. You can bring those. Whoopsies, show them all around. Now I've messed it up. Change that back to 500. That's very easy. And you'll be able to show what all your values are. You can click on that. It'll show you what the Y value is. Okay. Part B. Let me grab my graph back. Okay, part B wants you to find the intersection. So you're going to come over here. Go to Menu. So we're going to find the intersection now. So we're going to go to Analyze Graph. That came from Menu. And you're going to go down to number 4, Intersection. You're going to go lower. And then you're going to scroll above it. And you would use this mouse pad right here if you weren't on the fancy computer. And there it is. The intersection is $258 and $67.08. Okay, so then let me slide this down. C wants to know profit. So profit could be determined by taking my revenue and then subtracting off the cost. So profit is my revenue minus the cost that I have to incur. So P equals my R is 0.26W minus the 0.18W plus 20.64. Going through to simplify that, you're going to want to remember to distribute this negative, and I will end up with P equaling 0.08W minus the 20.64. Now in D, it wants you to sketch using the window of 0 to 1,000 for your domain. So we just practiced that. You would change those values, and then you'll be able to use Zoom Fit to fit the range there. It's adding on the table function. So I'm just going to show you where that is. A couple ways you can do it. You can hit Control T, and then there's your table. You, of course, are going to put in the new function. Okay. And then the last part, E, that you're going to try is talking about how many widgets, the minimum number, that you would need for $40. Remember, $40 is a profit. So that's going to go in for your P, and you will solve for W. So try that, and we'll go over it, if any questions, in the next class. Have a great night.